Hello, my loves. I am Cassandra McGowan, and I want to thank you for joining me on Facebook and on Instagram today for the very first time. So let me know if you can see me on Instagram and if you prefer it, or Facebook if you follow my Instagram page, Thought Pain Therapy. As you know, while I've been a specialist in the field of mind-body health and chronic pain relief for over 20 years, I am brand spanking new to the internet. So I love your feedback about video and sound quality almost as much as I love your thoughts about the daily topic. Speaking of which, I am having a unique experience today. I don't know what to call this live. We will be continuing our exploration of how thoughts can hurt and heal us, as we have throughout this year's topics of forgiveness and acceptance. Because by learning how to master our thoughts, we reduce our pain in the mind, body, and soul. I thought about entitling today's topic Acceptance, like last week's, but I think it could be better explained by a different heading. However, I couldn't think of what that would be. And I just noticed that I didn't have my mic in front of me because, like I said, very new. So hopefully now you can hear me if you couldn't a minute before. What I was saying is that I can't think of what to call today's topic. So I could use your help, and I thought we could play a game. When I finish with the live today, I would love it if you would tell me what you think a good topic for today's live would be. And I will choose the one that I resonate the most with. I'll pick a winner in a day or two off of Facebook and Instagram, and I will celebrate you. I mean, great minds think alike, so thanks for your help. All right, let's go. When we finished last Monday, we were discussing how to turn our thoughts from feeling victimized and angry at someone else for their misdeeds to an internal investigation as to why we were angered and where our wounds actually lie. By focusing on going on what I call undercover in a form of self-inquiry and paying close attention to our reactions, we can find that the only true power that we have over other people and situations in life is by doing this. And that is the power of our choice on how to respond. So I'm going to use a driving example like I did last week. To be honest, it's the area where I most often feel out of power. I notice myself more often triggered when I'm driving over other situations that I seem to be able to more easily review and release. So I thought we'll use that. So imagine someone cutting you off in traffic. You might notice that you immediately feel anger at them, maybe even a desire to get even. I mean, this happens to all of us, right? So now, instead of doing what we normally do, which is focus on why they cut us off or the injustice we might feel, I want you to focus instead on the emotion of anger that's been aroused within you. So we're going to leave the perpetrator completely out of our focus. I want you to ask yourself, why am I angry? Now, your immediate response may be something like, I'm angry because that SOB cut me off. However, that's an action, and it's not responsible for our emotional reaction. Remember that we can't make someone be different so we can feel different. Our response to the discomfort of life is the power that lies within us. So I want you to go deeper than this particular catalyst of a rude seeming driver. I want you to plumb the depths of the anger itself. I want you to go under the cover of the emotion to find what it's charged by. Now, while this will be different for every person, I'll give you an example that could be applied to me. So I've been cut off on my drive home or my drive to work, and I might be scared and angry. However, rather than give in to the desire to direct that emotion at a stranger who could likely care less, I decide to do some undercover work and figure out what's beneath my anger. So I begin by asking myself simply, why am I angry? And what I hear in my mind is that I'm angry because it seems like that person felt entitled to go faster than I was and saw their needs as being more important than mine. Okay, so my next step is to follow the feelings that are coming up of entitlement and self importance. So I go undercover again and I ask myself, why? Well, I think back about having been on my own and needing to support myself since I was 15 years old, which meant that I was not able to finish high school or even go to college until I started my early 40s. And throughout my life, that often meant that I struggled with feeling less than other people, less important, less intelligent, maybe even sometimes less valuable. So I could attach some of this anger to my feeling of being less important than someone else. Now, I do the self inquiry and I ask, is this true? Am I less important, less valuable, less worthy than my unknown driving adversary? Well, I then must acknowledge in that moment that if I still make comparisons to others, which I hope I no longer do, that I don't have enough information to make any determination as to value or worth or rightness. Thus, I can relieve myself of the anger that filled me because of feeling less than. Is this making sense? Now, what if I search myself again, I still feel anger? Well, then I ask myself why, and I find that this anger is concerned with the small amount of time I feel that this could make me late wherever I was going. Perhaps I missed a light that the car that cut me off made. Now I must check my accountability. Am I running late? If I was not, would it make me angry to have missed the light? Well, the likelihood is I'm only angry at those in front of me when I'm late to wherever I'm going. So in this case, I must own that my frustration is due to my own actions. Therefore, I can forgive myself and the car now in front of me and decide to ease my life further by taking greater care to leave earlier to my destinations. Okay, now I check again. Am I still angry? Well, maybe I find residual anger based on the fear that I could have been harmed by what they did. Well, that's certainly a reasonable explanation for the concern I felt, so then I continue to turn that light of inquiry back towards myself, and I recognize that perhaps I was driving too fast to stop carefully, or maybe I was distracted and driving too slow. So again, I hold myself accountable and decide how I need to adjust my own driving behavior to better protect myself. Maybe I should use a slower lane. Maybe take a safer route. Maybe pay more attention to the road and less to the radio or other conversations in the car or whatever. I might then end that internal conversation by making one or more new decisions that affect how I drive to keep myself as safe as possible. So now let's end this particular example by saying that despite my self-inquiry, I still find that this person was indeed careless and callous and nearly caused an accident, harming themselves and innocent others. Well, in that case, it might be good to pull over and let my body shake and shiver and release any endorphins of fight or flight or freeze and let that fear release from my body so it doesn't stay to color my emotional state for the day and further experiences. I may even say a prayer for that person or ask my angels, guides, or ancestors to watch over them to make sure that they harm no one, including themselves. I may even ask in that prayer that they gain the notice of an authority that can bring their recklessness to their attention by a ticket or further action that hopefully will help save their life and that of others in the future. Regardless of how I proceed, you may notice that my ultimate goal has been achieved. I've freed myself from anger at another person and have redirected my attention to my own life and actions where it can do the most good. Again, focusing on the power that I have to change how I feel. Going undercover with our thoughts like this allows us to question our reactions and master them instead of allowing them to control us. And in doing so, this will begin to free us, allowing us to live a life in accordance with who we truly are. And who we truly are is not the sum of what is left after we've felt victimized by life. It is the sum of how we deliberately shape our lives into being, based on conscious choice and self-love. When we stop ruminating on the hows and whys of another person's actions, but can't truly be known anyway, we free ourselves to devote our precious mind space to why we felt the way we did when the circumstance occurred. So let's use an example of words now instead of actions. Imagine for me that you have a friend who can be a jerk, perhaps. And this friend yells at you in front of someone else in a way you found demeaning and insulting. Instead of wondering why they said what they said, what you could have done to deserve it, what other people may think around you, you redirect your thoughts back inside yourself and think instead about how you felt and why. Did you feel insulted? Well, then you need to ask yourself why. And I know this probably sounds crazy, but I want you to stay with me. It is important to ask yourself why someone else's words caused you to feel insulted, since it's not caused or controlled by you. And it's not your responsibility to change or affect. However, your response is your responsibility. So before you make one, it's worth discovering what your charge was to their words. Now, I use that word charge to refer to that kind of electrifying experience of being upset or shocked, scared, angered by something we've undergone. You know, you feel it in your body. So let's say in this example that your friend has called you an idiot. Well, the best response would be to take a breath and ask yourself sincerely, why does this upset you? Do you see yourself as an idiot? Now, I know this may seem absurd, but it's a serious question. And the thought may actually seem frustrating or painful at first, but trust me, I'm getting to a place of freedom from this pain. So for this moment, imagine someone called you an idiot. Now, you may be thinking that anyone who was called an idiot would be upset, but that's not necessarily true. Some people wouldn't be. Words have power, but they don't affect everyone equally. As an example, what if instead of being called an idiot, your friend called you purple in the same tone of voice? Would you be equally upset? Would you become emotionally charged? I'm willing to bet you wouldn't. Why? Well, that word wouldn't mean anything to you. It would have no place to land in your ego. It would have no value to you as a negative or positive word, and thus there would be no reference point by which you could take it into yourself like emotional food and give it meaning and weight as to how you see yourself. Instead of being offended, you'd probably look at them as if they'd lost their mind and go back to whatever you were doing. No more distress than an eye roll could satisfy. However, when they called you idiot, well, this word was given value. And we often find that words have value and power. And if we feel insulted, then we often bring those words into our consciousness and place them within it with a purpose. Now, with intent, we allowed it, and yes, allowed because we had a choice, to cause us pain. We connected it with other times in our lives we had been told or perhaps felt that we were in some way maybe less smart than someone else, or than we ourselves wanted to be. We immediately took umbrage against the word as we ascribed it to ourselves and became hurt or angry. But the question remains, did we have to? Did we have to become upset? Did we have to let it have meaning? Did we have to let it feel like it was true? So for now, I want you to imagine this and ask yourself why it hurt or angered you. So again, instead of idiot, we imagine that our friend calls us purple. Perhaps they yelled it, or pointed it and laughed at us. Perhaps they even sneered as they said, "You're purple," and turned and walked away. Well, this wouldn't be likely to cause hurt or anger in the same way because we wouldn't know how to attach to it, and thus it wouldn't be likely to cause a charge. Maybe the tone or the expression would feel weird and confusing, but we wouldn't be hurt in the same way. So why is that? I believe we wouldn't respond as negatively because we know we're not purple. But the word idiot, well, maybe there's a place within our ego where we fear that this word could be true. Maybe we find that it touches us where we're already carrying a mental and emotional wound. And a psychological wound is not unlike a physical wound. It's a place where we've been injured by someone's words, rather than a blade or a bat. Perhaps our father called us an idiot while we were growing up anytime we disappointed him. Or more indirectly, maybe a teacher made us feel stupid compared to another student. Very possibly, we've grown up feeling less intelligent than we wish we were, and thus this word, said in this moment, cuts us deeply where we're already raw, even if we didn't realize it. You can be sure that the stronger and deeper the charged emotional reaction and mental, emotional, or physical response, then the greater the pre-existing wound. Simply described, if the thought of someone calling you an idiot or something else makes you feel enraged, or you want retribution or violence, then you're having a traumatic response, likely from childhood. The word purple wouldn't hurt us because we've never been made to feel purple, so it wouldn't bother us. But stupid or idiot or fool, etc., well, that hurts. So why does it hurt? Like when we feel around in our mouth for a sore tooth with our tongue, I want you to feel around in your psyche for the place where this word might land. See if you can find the wound. This is where our work begins. Once we find the wound, we must ask ourselves if what we were told or believed in the past was actually true. Was it our truth? Or was it more accurately a word said in anger or frustration by someone whose needs were not being met, or because they thought it might motivate us to action? Perhaps it was said by someone who didn't know any other way to communicate their frustration without taking it out on us. Maybe they were treated the same way by their parent or teacher or spouse, and without deliberation, they were repeating patterns of aggression and blame. Well, you might notice that these same motivations could be applied to the individual that's saying the word to us now, with a high likelihood of accuracy. However, our intent is still to find deep within ourselves the truth regarding this word. Was it true? Are we indeed the word we were called? And even if we attach to it and we believe that perhaps it could be applied to us then, does it today? And if it doesn't, then our work ends here. Whew! Breathe a sigh of relief. We're done. No more thought needs to be given to this unkind or thoughtless act. It's not us. It's not our truth. It may have touched us where we were once wounded, but it doesn't need more energy to be added to it. We can simply let it go. We can forgive this person their attempt directly or indirectly to harm us. as it's not our pain to hold. We can go on with our day and give it no more thought. Go home, enjoy our drive, our dinner, our time with our loved ones or by ourselves, and rest easily, secure in the knowledge that we are not a derivative of a word spoken to us by someone whose thoughts are not our own. Now, if our ego wishes to give further thought to the experience, well, then we focus that thought on whether or not the friendship we hold with this person is the right fit. Perhaps this experience of discomfort isn't alone. Perhaps we've had many moments of hurt in this relationship and need to see these moments for what they could be on a grander scale, and increasing awareness that a change needs to be undertaken, that this friendship is not one which serves us or our future any longer. Discomfort creates motivation for change. No one makes changes to anything when they're comfortable with the status quo. So all changes in life are prefaced by dissatisfaction. When we look at it this way, it seems less scary and more inevitable. Where would we be today if we hadn't felt uncomfortable or unhappy enough to change? Probably some of us would still be living with our parents, others in a relationship that made them unhappy, or working at the first job they might have ever taken. So remember, in times of stress and worry, that dissatisfaction in these moments can also be valuable harbingers of our future success. And in looking at our time, I have gone over time. So I will end it here, although I have more to say. I'll end it with a quote by Pema Chodron, which says, "Inner peace begins the moment we choose not to allow another person or event to control our emotions." So thank you for joining me today. I hope you can help me come up with a name for this live. I'll check back in a couple of days and read more comments, questions, and suggestions. But before I end, I will see if there's any thoughts that I can respond to right now on Facebook. And as always, I will put a link in the chat where you can contact me privately for a free 30-minute consultation. Next week, I will finish this topic and we will be discussing compassion. So let me see if there's any questions for today. You can hear me better now? Yeah, a microphone. I think putting myself on Instagram at the same time that I was going on Facebook made me completely forget about using a microphone. So good. Emily, I've noticed people who don't go undercover have repeated incidents of things they don't like. Not you or me, of course. Haha. Exactly. That is truly our only way to find freedom, whether we're talking about reevaluating the way we think, or how we embody how we feel, or the pain in our body. Janice, what would you suggest to release anger from fear of COVID restrictions? Wow, you know what? That is an excellent question. Because as you probably have noticed, so many people are reacting to COVID in completely polarized ways. There are people that are furious at others for not wearing masks, and there are people that are furious at others for wearing masks, and everything in between. So what I would suggest is to use these tools that we began speaking about today and kind of really itemize where your anger is. What aspects of the restrictions, as you stated, are making you angry? And then go undercover and ask yourself, okay, why does that make me angry? What am I afraid of? How am I upset? What does this remind me of? Where am I being touched? Where I was wounded or traumatized? And honestly, that's the best way to release anger at anything, is to discover why we're angry. Because we can't stop the world from pissing us off. We can just choose how we respond to it. And I don't know about you, but I would assume you're like me. And I would love to be unharmed and untouched by another person's negative thought or word or deed my way, because I know myself better and I love myself. So I hope this helps in some way, and I look forward to talking to you again on Monday. And I'll put a link in the chat, and don't forget to play and tell me what you would call this live, because I need to title it to put it on YouTube, and I have no idea what to call it. So I'm excited, and I could use your help. Okay. In the meantime, take care of yourself for me. I love you. Bye.